Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to do the part 2 of the driving straight Bronco. Basically, if you want your Ford truck or your Bronco to drive a little bit straighter down the road, have a nice no-play steering wheel. In the first part I showed replacing the gearbox, the steering gear, which is down there. And now in this episode, what I'm going to be doing is replacing the shaft, the steering shaft in this video here, and I'll be going with a Borgeson steering shaft. That's it there. It is long. Now this part number here, Borgeson, the 000985, fits the 80 to 87 Ford full size. Now that's what it says on the shaft, but on their website it also fits the 87 to the 91. It's the same steering shaft. That is the part number. This model has the dampener in the U-joint, which I opted to get. It's a little bit more pricier. These ones are about $260 versus the one without the dampener is $230. One more of a stock feel. This isn't like your regular. I just didn't want any road noise to go into the steering wheel, you know. I didn't want to feel anything like that, but this isn't like your stock rag joint coupler that you normally get. It's got a dampener on the inside. It's encased. I'm sure it performs way better than the stock one. You have to cut to fit. So I'll be showing you how to install this. Alright, let's get it installed. The first thing you're going to want to do is pull in your truck nice and straight. Keep the wheel straight. Keep the steering wheel straight, and keep that shaft aligned as straight as possible so you have a straight steering wheel. So you have a straight steering wheel and it's lined up nice to your box. So the first thing I just went ahead and did real quick is I just took out the intake hoses. Just loosen up the two clamps on the intake hoses. They just pop right off. And then the ducting that goes right here, that just slides right off. So now we're going to get ready to take out the shaft here. First step we're going to do is take out the 10mm lower shaft bolt. It connects the shaft to the steering gear. Now for some of you this may be a 3/8, but for me it is in fact a 10mm. Take the bolt completely out. Next, you're going to want to slide out your steering shaft. And set it down to the side. Okay, next we're going to take the upper bolt off, which is located right here underneath the master cylinder. It is a 13mm. And pull the shaft off and take it out. Alright, now here's a comparison of the two shafts side by side. The original versus the Borgeson. These are both fully collapsed, and you can see the Borgeson needs to be trimmed for it to fit. Now they do it like this. They make them long in case you might have a body lift on the truck. So they do that like that so they can accommodate different types of applications. So I'll be showing you how I will be installing this and getting the correct size and then cutting to fit. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so first they want you to remove the upper U-joint. So you're going to have to crack open this nut here and loosen up this set screw. Take it all the way out. Okay, and then I will assume this set screw as well. So they secure it with two set screws. There's an Allen on this one. Cheating technique here. Okay. Put both of your set screws aside. Take off the U-joint. Now we'll be installing this end into the gearbox. So here we go. We're going to put the shaft on. Looks about right. Alright, now with the lower U-joint installed, Borgeson wants you to fully extend the shaft and then cut it flush with the output shaft from the steering wheel there. Now, problem with that is the shaft is just way too long to put it next to that shaft and then just mark it and cut it. You really simply can't just do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my tape measure and I'm going to hook it to the end right here of the coupler, and then I'm going to measure exactly, get an exact measurement from that coupler to the end of that shaft right there, and then I'll make my mark here. Once I measure it, make my mark here and cut it. You're going to want to cut this end of the shaft, the end of the shaft that you took the U-joint off of. That's the shaft that you're going to be cutting. Alright, so I got my tape measure out, and I'm showing you here is where I'm putting it, to the end of this coupler here. And it's coming out to be about 17 3/4. So that's where I'm going to measure on the new shaft, on the Borgeson shaft. I'm going to measure 17 3/4, fully extended. The shaft has to be fully extended, and you're going to measure 17 3/4, make your mark, and cut it. I have my shaft fully extended, and I've got my 17 3/4 marking right here. I'm going to mark the shaft right at the 17 3/4 mark. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It is a telescoping shaft, so you're gonna use some of that. Since this came all the way up to the steering wheel shaft here, by the time you have to actually move it down a little bit and put the U-joint on, that's going to be your telescoping. It's gonna feel like factory right there. Mine is a stock truck, but I still recommend you to measure yours and see where it'll land. I'm going to be making my cut right now. I'm just going to use a basic hand tool, just chop it right off. If you want a nicer, straighter cut, just use a chop saw. I just got this on hand right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and wing it. Now careful, it's going to be really sharp, so you're going to want to deburr it with some sandpaper, or a file probably works best. Go ahead and knock off these sharp edges here. Okay. Alright. Now installing your U-joint, you're going to want to slide it in and don't push the rod all the way. You're going to need to drill one hole through one wall, not both walls. This uses 2 set screws, and Borgeson wants you to drill a hole through one of them so you can thread it through one of the walls of the shaft and have it hit the second wall. Tighten it down, lock it, and just set another screw right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this screw in, tighten it down to mark the location that I'm going to drill. So I'm going to slide the shaft in appropriately, the correct depth. Once it's there, I'll give it a tight like that. Check it. Maybe even loosen it a couple times and retighten it. Make sure to make a nice good marking on there. Take it off. And there you are. That's where I'll be drilling my hole. They say to use a 3/8 bit and drill that screw hole right there. You want perfect results, use a drill press. I'm going to use a hand drill, and I'm going to wing it again. Now I drilled a 5/16 hole, but I felt the 3/8 would have been too big. So this right here is a 5/16 hole. I want to see if the screw fits just fine. Yeah, it fits just fine. There was really no need to drill a 3/8. I mean, that 3/8 would have been massive. So, good experience there. I'm installing the U-joint here. Okay, got it to hit the wall. Nice and snug. The lock nut on it. Now, Borgeson also recommends, well, they actually suggest, they don't actually recommend it. If you want, use some Loctite on here, some thread sealer. Make sure those screws don't back out. I'm just doing this real quick, just for demonstration purposes, but I will be doing that as well. I will be putting Loctite on these, some thread sealer. I'm just going to do this to test fit, and that's what I'll be doing. So now the first screw here on the side goes through the original location, the original bolt location. So it just goes through, it threads through the steering column shaft to the other side of the Borgeson. I left them both loose so I can install it down there by the gearbox. Once I have it in the gearbox nice, I'll set those, tighten them down, and then lock them up. Once you get it on the splines, if it's a tight fit, just give it a couple of taps. Right there. Install your set screw. This one you can tighten up nice. If your steering wheel is not straight, you can actually have it adjust. You can actually adjust it right here. Again, the Borgeson shaft is not flattened in any end, so it installs in any direction. Tighten up these ones, these set screws. Now Borgeson also recommends that after driving 100 miles, come back and retighten all these screws. Wasn't really too much of a process actually. It's just measure, cut, drill one hole. Not really a big deal. I would see it probably taking maybe about an hour if you're fluent, maybe 2 if you're just taking your time. Let's see the steering wheel here. Wow, that I can barely even move this thing. That's nice. Now the steering wheel is pretty straight. But like I said, if once you're driving down the road and it's a little off, a tick here, a tick there, the shaft is fully adjustable. You just pop it off by the gearbox, turn it one spline, and then try it again. So it really takes driving to figure out and seeing if it's straight or not. But that's nice and stiff. So I've got a new redhead steering box. I've got the Borgeson steering shaft. So there you have it, guys. Everything's fully installed. Got my ducting back in. You can see the shaft. And now the steering is A-OK. Alright guys, thanks a lot. That does it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching.